Chris, ready? Sure. Okay, so we are and we call the work session to order. Amy, check roll.
Sure. Roll call vote. Mayor Watkins.
Here.
Council President Ward Mullen.
Here.
Councilor Skipper.
Here.
Councilor Brandau.
Here.
Sorry about that.
Here.
Councilor Erickson.
Here.
Yay.
And Councilor Maher.
And Councilor Maher. Thank you. All are here and accounted for.
All righty. So let's see. On to the future of the water supply. Yeah. Is John online? John, are you online?
I don't see him on.
Okay. So we'll wait about 2 minutes before we give John time to log in. He already sent his PowerPoint ahead of time. If that does not transpire, we go to the end and then we'll talk about that. Okay. So give us 2 minutes to see if he comes on, please. Brian's there.
Oh, here he is.
Oh, he's on. Perfect.
Just give him 1 second. There he is.
Is he on there now?
Yep.
This is Mayor Hill. John is on his way right now. He's logging in.
Perfect. Thank you. You have been talking to him, so. You still see him?
No. There he is. John Dietz now joining again. Here we go.
Hey, John.
He's now.
No, I see his.
Yeah, he's there.
John, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Hey, welcome to the work session.
Thank you.
So, Mayor and Council, for your information, John Dietz is the General Manager for McMinnville Water and Light. He's also the General Manager for Yamhill Regional Water Authority. Tonight is a presentation on the future of our water supply and what Mac Water and Light's thinking in Regional Water Authority. Did you want to share your screen?
I can, or you can just, unless you have the presentation there, either way works.
Well, we do have the presentation, but it comes on line by line, so we're not sure how to click through it.
Okay, let me bring it up on my computer. Okay, did you? Can you see that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good. So I'll start.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Beginning. Okay. So for those that don't know, this process has probably been going on for close to 35 years. Water and Light started with Lafayette back in 1984, talking about regional water. So just a little bit of where we're at. Our system, we have about 155 miles of distribution pipe. Actually an investment of 124 million. Probably the one thing that most people don't know about us is we're a 100% gravity system. There's no pumps in our system. We also are an electric utility, so we also provide electric service to the city and about 60, 70 square miles total of our electric service territory, and the water service territory is the city limits. We are actually the oldest municipal utility in Oregon. I don't know if many people know that, but if you think about it, in 1889, the city of McMinnville had a population of just under 1,400, and we had a water and electric utility at the time. And we are also, we have a commission that's appointed by the mayor, confirmed by a city council. The mayor sits on the commission as ex officio member of the commission. And there's our service territories. So, like I mentioned, water, our first plant was on the Yamhill, 1889, 1977. We built our first treatment plant, which was Norman Scott treatment plant right below our Haskins Reservoir. And then in 2010, we upgraded that plant to 22 million gallons a day with the capacity to add an additional 8 million gallons with filter 7 and 8 to bring it to 30 million gallons, which is the yield for our watershed is a maximum of 30 million gallons a day. And this is just a little depiction of our system.
John, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing your slides advance.
Okay. Start over here. Can you see that one?
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Sorry, another thing. Can we make sure everyone is muted because I keep hearing an echo and the screen keeps changing. I think we have someone that's not muted.
Okay. So again, we're a system that's 100% gravity, no pumping in our system. We generate about 85 to 90 pounds of pressure at the city. So again, treatment plant was expanded in 2010 to 22 million gallons a day. Maximum capacity of that plant, if we add filter 7 and 8, would be 30 million gallons a day. This is just a slide that shows our system. We have 2 reservoirs. We're 100% surface water. We own about just right around 6,350 acres. I think it's a little bit more than that of watershed. And our primary goal with that watershed is water quality. That's the number one item we focus on. Timber is actually a secondary item. but that does help fund our capital. And we harvest typically somewhere between $2 to $3 million a year and generate that revenue for the water system. Raw water storage, we have McGuire and Haskins, which store about 3.5 billion gallons. And again, our treatment plant is 22 million gallons of capacity at this time. So, one of the goals that we established with the regional system was redundancy. Our system is basically a single source with the source 10 miles from the basic delivery point or service reservoirs. So redundancy to us is a pretty big deal. We've spent significant amount of time looking at how we're going to get that redundant source. So going back in our system, in 2010, we upgraded our treatment plant, and that was a $30 million project. After that, we were looking at the redundancy of our system. So we actually went with Carlton, Dayton, and Lafayette and got a junior water right on the Willamette River. And that right is fairly junior. So if you look at over the last 5 or 6 years, we've had a substantial number of days where we would not be able to draw water with that water right. So after we formed WIRA, we actually started looking at additional rights. And so as we went through our planning, we ended up looking at all the areas where we actually have issues with redundancy. So in 2015, we actually added a second tunnel. We go under Meadow Lake Road with the first tunnel, and the second tunnel was built in 2015. And that tunnel is actually a directional drill with a steel pipe that was designed with a 1% grade downgrade so that there would be no standing water in the pipe. And so that continues the flow from the treatment plant to our service reservoirs. So then in 2016, we actually purchased our second right on the Willamette, which was a 1982 right for 5 million gallons a day. And then in 2017, we actually purchased a intake site on the Willamette that is about 5.5 acres that is on the right on the bank. And we actually had a feasibility study done in 2018 to verify that the site was a good site for an intake. And it is, we have depth right up the site of about 45 feet. So we can get an intake into the river and we can draw water at that point. So we were looking at designing an intake that would be about 50 million gallons a day to be the maximum of our rights. And then in 2019, we actually started working on replacement of our 16-inch transmission main. It's experienced a number of leaks, and so we ended up replacing about a 6,600 foot section of that pipe that had approximately 16 holes in the pipe at that time. And then in 2019, our commission approved the purchase of a second or third Willamette right. This right is a 1954 right, which predates the fish persistence rights, which are 1964, so that we were guaranteed we would always be able to draw water from the Willamette. And then in 2020, we installed a 24-inch HDPE pipe from our system to Lafayette, and they actually started taking water from us on July 1st of 2020. And so this was actually the tunnel project. That's actually the head works of the tunnel. That's actually the pipe. That pipe was 60-foot sections of steel pipe welded together and then pulled as one piece that was 2,200 feet long. That pipe is actually designed to take the entire output of the treatment plant through that one pipe. So long-term, our goal is to be able to take all of the treatment plant output through the one pipe. So the section of pipe that we replaced in 2019, 2020 was actually 36 inches well. And we still have approximately 45,000 feet of that pipe to replace. So that's long-term, that'll be a continuing project over a number of years. And this is the 24-inch HDPE pipe that was installed to Lafayette in 2019, 2020. We chose HDPE because of the flexibility of the pipe. You can see in the picture that they're actually laying the pipe and they're actually fusing the pipe or welding it and actually welding it with the machine in the hole, the trench. This is actually the site that we selected. The tree line is our property line, and you can see the depths in the river. We actually did the survey in the river, so we actually verified that we have enough depth to put an intake structure. So that will be probably something that we'll be looking at in the next 3 to 5 years, is getting permitting started and starting design of that intake. Our plan over the next 5 years, we're looking at acquiring a site for the treatment plant, easements for the water line between the intake site and the treatment plant, and then permits and start construction on an intake. So any questions?
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned that you joined with Carlton and Dayton and Lafayette to buy one junior water right on the Willamette. And then you mentioned several others that were purchased. These others that were purchased, were those purchased only by McMinnville?
Yes.
Counselors, do you have any questions? John, maybe you could speak a little bit of what the future of Carlton and the Yamhill Regional Water Authority might look further on down the road in more of your bigger picture.
So long-term, I think the plan was long-term. Carlton probably won't be able to take water from the Willamette, so it would be some type of transfer between Water and Light and Carlton at the your intertie with us, which is about, I think it's just north, I guess to be northwest of your treatment plant is where the intertie is. And so basically that would be the kind of like an exchange or transfer between the two, because, you know, long term, you're 5 or 6 miles easily pipeline distance just to the end of our system. So connecting to us, the easiest way to connect to us would be actually through our existing system at the treatment, our transmission main.
So does that mean that water would primarily come out of the reservoirs?
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit, I'm about the Regional Water Authority in terms of what I guess the long-term plans are. Is there any kind of date or timing on when some of this stuff is gonna kick in for McMinnville and Carlton, or how exactly does this work?
So, so what Water and Light has done is Water and Light is moving forward because we have to have a redundant source. So we recognize that we need a source, and the Willamette's the other source, the only source available. There's no groundwater available. It's appropriated in Yamhill County. So what we're looking at is we will be moving forward, we'll be moving forward with or without partners. What will change is the physical size of a plant. If there aren't partners, the plant will obviously be smaller. But we've actually designed, or we'll be designing the plant in modules. So we're looking at 5 modules. Each one will be 10 million gallons. And if you look at the 2 rights that we obtained, the total of those is about 10 million gallons. So the first module would be 10 million gallons. Right now, our daily winter peak is about 3.5 million gallons. So that plant could supply our entire system if we needed to. And then in an emergency, we could do that irregardless. The longest piece of this will be permitting for the intake. The intake, we estimate, we've talked to engineer, permitting for that could take anywhere from 2 to 4 years to get the actual permit for that. So long-term, our plan is to have something operational in the next 15 to 20 years. And what Water and Light's doing is we're looking at this as kind of cash, build as we have cash, and build as we go. Because we can build an intake and let the intake sit in the river for years without actually using the intake. We can build pipe and let that sit. But what Water and Light doesn't want to do is borrow large sums of money that then become tie us into some type of bond rating or bond covenants that require us to do something with our rates. We've had a pretty significant history of paying for capital as we go. And currently we have no debt. So we may have to borrow some money when we get to the treatment plant, but our goal is to, if we have to borrow some, borrow as little as we have to.
How does the structure of this look like with the other, are these the only 4 cities that are involved? Carlton, Dayton, Lafayette, and McMinnville?
So these are the only 4 cities right now. Dayton has actually dropped out. Lafayette is taking water, and they are planning to, they are going to be one of our partners. They've already committed to that, and so they're already taking water from us with the commitment that they want to be taking water from our new treatment plant when that's built. And so really what we would be looking at is others in the county that would potentially need water as well. For a city to go, especially a small city, to try and build something on the Willamette is probably not, it's probably cost prohibitive. And so that's why we're looking at this as partnering with others, because there's a benefit for everybody.
Do you see that reaching out to Newburgh?
We've actually had discussions with Newburgh. So far, we haven't heard where they're at. I know they were doing a master plan, but I haven't heard where they're with that process.
And then to the west, you're looking at Willamina and Sheridan, or what's?
Probably not Willamina or Sheridan, but potentially Amity.
Uh-huh.
I've had a few conversations with the new city manager at Amity.
Yeah.
John, this is Shirley Warmont, are you continuing to have the monthly meetings?
We meet every other month, yes.
Every other month, okay.
So John, I have a question.
Okay, Kevin.
How's it going? So just so I understand you right, so Carlton would source their water from the intertie, and so we wouldn't be getting any water from that new treatment plant. So what is our role, like as the city of Carlton, a lesser role in that?
No.
It would all be equal partners?
It would all be the same. It's basically shares.
Okay.
You know, so many shares. And there's a couple ways to look at it. That's one option. The other option is just to be a wholesale, you know, on a wholesale contract, not be a partial owner of a plant, but actually have a whole long-term wholesale contract. So there's a couple of models that are out there that have been used in the past.
But even with all of this, you're not looking at going into some of that for another 15 years minimum?
Right. But what we want to do is we want to continue, pecking away at the cost by doing things trying to do something on a regular basis. So when we get to that end game, that cost is not going to be, this horrendous 50, 76, $75 million treatment plant with all these, pipeline and intake. A number of those pieces are already done. So for example, Lafayette, the reason that we built the pipe the way we built it was, one, we didn't need a 24-inch pipe, but the idea was that if somebody like a Newburgh or a Dayton wanted to join later on, the pipe is already sized to handle that. We don't have to go back and build another pipe or replace the pipe that we have. And Water and Light paid that cost up front. The difference between what
Right.
Lafayette needed and what the larger pipe size was.
Financially, right now, Carlton is not contributing anything to it, or we are contributing, or we just held by the one water right, or what?
So the first water right we got was minimal cost. It didn't cost us any, it cost almost nothing to get the right because it wasn't a senior or more senior right, it was a junior right. So with the 2011 right, it was basically just the cost to talk with Water Resources to get the right. So those costs to date have been very minimal. It's basically been consulting.
We contributed to that, or
What's that?
have we contributed to the cost on those, or?
Yes.
Okay, on those two.
Yeah, but it's, we're talking a few $1,000s.
I was just trying to figure out if we were financially invested in it, or if we're still kind of in the talking stage. I wasn't sure what this.
Yeah, you're part of the regional group with the junior right.
Right, okay. But then, so then the two reservoirs that you've got, well, no, because if we were accessing water through you guys, we'd be getting it out of the reservoirs, so, yeah.
You'd be getting it out of our reservoirs through our treatment plant.
Which would basically nullify anything, would pretty much take care of any of the water that Carlton is dealing with right now with their own water system.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the plan? Do you know, or
What's that?
that if we moved over to that, we would basically shut down our own water system?
Well, if you did something like that, what you'd probably end up doing is shutting down your treatment plant, but the rest of the system would be used.
Well, yeah. We wouldn't be using the reservoir anymore that we are using now.
Well, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, you could store water there. I just don't know how, once it leaves the metering point, I don't know how your system works to get water into the reservoir or, but I assume you can use the reservoir. It's just the only issue I think we see is that you might have to rechlorinate because the contact time is not long enough because you're so close to our treatment plant.
Hey, John, I got another question. So on timeline wise, so you're talking about chipping away at things, as you go. When does it come to, what's the timeline look for? Like, when does the city of Carlton have to invest more money? Like we make some hard decisions on if this is going to be a long-term plan for the city of Carlton or not.
So I would say it depends on what your investments are going to be in your treatment plant. Because what we've done is we have an agreement with Lafayette. So we have a 21-year agreement with Lafayette to sell them water from our source. And the idea is that's renewable. So there's 3 7-year terms. So they're in the first 7 years of that contract. The goal is by the end of that to have the treatment plant built. So that is essentially a bridge for them until the treatment plant's built, is what we did. So if you have major investments in your treatment plant, that's the potential where you could actually take water from us in that same type of contract, which would then, you would not need to make those capital investments in your plant.
So John, the question, we had was, how's that relate to summer? And, not all of you are aware, but we're gonna be taking our water plant offline, and we're currently negotiating a contract with, Mac Water and Light to supply us water while we dredge the reservoir and put the spoils over on the Weyerhaeuser land. That's currently being worked on with, Jordan Ramus, our attorneys, for the water rights and Mac Water and Light. It's a little bit, this is different. John's talking more future and long-term, but we do have a short-term agreement that we're in negotiation with right now.
Yep.
Is that right, John?
Yep. So we're looking for, eventually what we're looking for is the commitment to do something from, Lafayette is committed. I honestly think at some point, others will have to commit to, because the fact that it's just the cost to build something is for one city to take that on is just, I don't think you can afford the rates.
Yeah.
We have roughly 12,000 customers. So if you look and start spreading those costs over our ratepayers and then others, those costs start to get diluted pretty fast. And so that's why I think it's attractive to others, is because those costs will get spread over many ratepayers, not just a few.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question. How would we begin to do some analysis of what those costs would look like for us? Do you have some formulas or something in place where we could take a look at how many people we have and plug those numbers in?
We did something, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years ago when Chad was there. I think we had some preliminary numbers. So we had Carrillo Engineers actually, I think, did that analysis for us. So I don't know if you've got that in your file, Christy?
I believe so. I can do a search. If I have difficulties locating it, I'll reach out to you and then I'll send it to council.
Yeah.
That'd be great, Christy. Thanks.
The original estimate for the intake, the treatment plant, the first segment of treatment, the pipeline was about 50, I'm going to say somewhere around $55 million. And so what Water and Light has done is, we know that we're out probably 15 to 20 years to build something. So what costs can we pick off now and get done so that when we get to that point, that cost isn't that high? It's going to be in the $30 million range, or 25, or some number, whatever it may be. But most of us probably won't be around, except maybe Kevin.
This is true.
So, but I think our next significant concern is getting an intake permitted and in the river, because those costs are probably going to be unpredictable with the way permitting and those environmental issues go. So that's something that we're probably going to be starting some type of RFP for engineering, I would guess, probably in the next 2 or 3 years.
We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't have anything, we'll let John go. We're currently working on a short-term, intermediate, and a long-term goal for Mac Water and Light. showing some commitment for the future and getting closer to the negotiating that contract for this spring, summer. So if you guys don't have anything else, I can let him go.
All right.
All right, John, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Okay, so we have a good 25 minutes. We could possibly get through it. Do you want me to explain the questions, or do you, how that's gonna work, or do you want?
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay. So Jamie and Carrie are both online. We're not sure if 25 minutes is gonna be enough to get through the interview questions. Each counselor will have an opportunity to ask the same question of each candidate. We're gonna start with Mayor Watkins. Oh, no,
We're starting with
sorry,
Council President.
Council
Ward
President
Mullen.
Shirley Ward Mullen. And she's gonna ask, she'll pick who she's gonna ask first and second, and then the next counselor will switch it. So if she starts with Jamie and goes to Carrie, the next counselor will start with Carrie and going to Jamie, so it equalizes the process. And I will let Linda call out which counselors to go next for their question. So Carrie and Jamie, are you ready?
Sure.
I think Carrie's muted.
Carrie.
Carrie, nice unmuted.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. So my question is, describe your experience working on a board and or council project that was successful due to your participation and leadership. So I'll go with you, Jamie, first.
Oh, thanks, Shirley. Sure. I have been on the school board for Yamhill Carlton for over 10 years, and I think our most successful, well, we've probably had two successful endeavors, one of which when I was the chair, we passed a bond, and we currently have 2 new buildings, and we're able to upgrade a number of our old buildings. So that was very successful, getting that bond passed. And then also hiring a superintendent that he just left. He was here for 9 years, and he did many good things for us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Carrie, would you like me to repeat the question, or you have it?
I think I know the question. I've been on city council for 14 years, and I just been, I've had new councilors now on our city. That's awesome. I'm so nervous, and I have no clue why I'm nervous. Anyway, I have no clue. But anyway, so a lot of these projects that, like the one that was the Water and Light project, I know we've been working on our water system for quite a while, and we've got our $9 million to work on our project. A lot of these questions you guys have with the Willamette, with the Water and Light and everything, we've already had these discussions. Huge, and like the tie-in, that's, we've already got that taken care of to get water from them and everything. But anyways, I just know a lot of these, I just been on the council for 14 years. And I think I have a lot of experience to bring, to the council. Sorry.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yeah.
Thanks. Councilor Mahar. Questions? Kathy?
Sorry, who's next?
You.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard. So this will go to Carrie then. Please describe your new economic vision for Carlton.
Economic vision. I really don't have an economic vision, I guess. That's something we would discuss as a city council and figure out what would be good for the city of Carlton. It would just be something we'd bring to the table and talk about. I really don't have anything off the top of my head.
All right, and then Jamie, how about you?
Gosh, that's a good question. I think I need to understand the comprehensive plan a little bit better than I do today to see what the future holds within that plan, and then be very thoughtful about the growth and the economic side of that growth. And that would take the whole council and the community input. So I think thoughtfulness and listening will be key to that.
Thank you both.
Guillermo, you're up next.
Okay. So I guess Jamie first now. And my question is, what makes you unique to be in the city council?
Oh, well, I've lived in Carlton for 20 years. I was Carrie's neighbor for a long time.
Yes.
I have a background in accounting, finance. I have a CPA. I am currently a senior manager working for the state of Oregon. I have budget experience. I've worked in government, healthcare, manufacturing. I also co-own a gift shop with my sister right downtown. So both my sister and I are very interested in how the city will grow. And I've had kids go through the school system. And I also was a treasurer at Carlton Together Cares for 11 years, a few years back. And I care about the community.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Could you repeat the question, please?
What makes you unique?
Unique. I've lived in Carlton for 25 years. I remember when the city of Carlton was barely over 1,000 people here at the time. And I've met a lot of people. As Jamie worked at CTC, I also was a member of CTC, and both of our kids went through the programs and everything and really involved. And I've really loved the city of Carlton ever since I've lived here. That's why I moved here. And that's why I like to be so involved with the council and just any type of government for the, just to be a voice for the city of Carlton. So I don't know if that makes me unique, but that's my explanation.
Thank you. Grant.
Hello, I'm here. You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. We can hear you.
So my question first to Jamie would be is.
No, you go to Carrie first. Sorry.
Say again?
Your question goes to Carrie first. Carrie gets to answer first on this one.
Carrie's going first on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll go first with Carrie. That's fine. Okay, so the question is, what is your greatest like and dislike about Carlton, and what would you do to improve your dislike?
My like of Carlton, I love the community spirit that we have here. Everybody seems to be really involved in the community of Carlton. My dislike are the trucks that come through Carlton that everybody dislikes. To fix, and you're saying what's my idea on how to fix the dislike?
Correct. And what would you do to improve or fix the dislike? Yes.
I'd really like to discuss it more and try to figure things out, because my dislike is to not have them in Carlton anymore. So to fix it, I would leave the way it is right now. And eventually what will happen is they will not want to come through Carlton anymore because the population will grow. They already detour through out of town already as it is. So I would like to work on that situation, the trucks coming through town.
Okay, thank you. So the same question then to Jamie?
Okay, I think I remember it. So my likes of Carlton, I love the small town feel. I love us the community that we've built. I love the schools. Of course, being on the city, I think we have great schools and we have room to be better with that. I think Carlton needs to be thoughtful about growth, because growth will happen, but hopefully it will happen in the right way. And so that's what I like about Carlton. I think the people are great. I wouldn't live here if I didn't think so. It's just a great community, which includes the agriculture and the wine and our main street. What I dislike and what I would do about it. First of all, what I would do about my dislikes, when I can think of them, is to get involved through the city council. I think learning how to grow and making sure we grow right is important. So that would be our new subdivision, Highway 47 reroute or not, and understanding what we need in the city as far as the city hall and police station. And I would like to get involved with that by being involved in the city council.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Kevin. Jamie.
Hey, Carrie. Hey, so I got the luxury of being last, so you might have touched on my question already, but maybe just a follow up of what do you think the biggest issue, and I guess Jamie, this is first to you. What do you think the biggest issue city council / city is facing, and what could you bring to the council to help address that or tackle that issue?
I think that there's a couple of issues, of course. I think it's knowing how to grow. Part of that is the new subdivision and then the reroute of 47. You know, how do we do that and keep our small town feel and keep our community, you know, the way it is, because it's a great community. I think I can bring to the table listening to the community, understanding, and being thoughtful about decisions. Thank you.
Can you repeat that one more time, Kevin, please?
Yeah, it was Carrie. It's just, what do you think the biggest issue is that the city council / city faces, and what could you bring to council to address / tackle that issue that you think is the biggest one?
Well, there's lots of issues that cities deal with. Seems like I would bring to the table that I've had experience with some of these issues before that we've had discussions about. We just keep tackling them and keep trying to get through them, come up with ideas to make sure it's the right decision for all of the community of Carlton, to make sure that the Carlton keeps that feel, like Jamie was saying, keeps the Carlton feel, and everybody, you know, is comfortable with here. So, that's it.
Okay. Oh, you, yeah. Actually, I get to be last. I've got two here I was trying to figure out. How can, what would you like to see the city doing to encourage business growth in the city? Carrie, you first.
City growth, to encourage it.
To encourage business growth.
I think what we're doing right now is in the city of Carlton. I know we have the Carlton Business Association, and you know, we have that. We have, I mean, the city seems to be. We need to somehow find more property for people to purchase and grow. Because I think people are already growing as it is. Everybody wants to move here. Businesses, it seems like. As for the growth, I don't know. It's something we have to discuss and try to figure out how to expand, you know, for that growth and make sure it's right for all.
Jamie?
Well, Carrie kind of said, you know, we don't have a lot of room. It doesn't appear to grow. So that would have to be a thoughtful conversation to have on where to grow. Tourism is important for this downtown. And I know we have a tourism committee or for business to survive, there has to be some people coming into town to eat and drink and, buy gifts and souvenirs, and maybe a thoughtful conversation about other businesses that could survive in a small town. And I'm not quite sure how to do that, but I think that it sounds like Carlton's on the right track with the tourism committee and the CBA. And also, I'll say one more thing, working maybe together with Yamhill, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing to say, but working together as a community to bring people to both towns. And it would offer tourists and people that live here more opportunities.
Thank you. So we can't take action, so we can give them a 10-minute break and go to regular session.
So we're taking, thank you. That takes care of the work session. We will be back in 10 minutes. So you can get up and walk around, get a drink.